Have you ever heard of a book that literally no one on Earth can read? For more than 100 years, this one single manuscript has absolutely stumped the world's greatest codebreakers, our smartest linguists, and yeah, even our most advanced AI. So today, let's dive into the story of history's greatest literary mystery, the Voynich Manuscript.
I mean, you've got to love that description. It's basically a cryptographic black hole, just swallowing every single attempt to understand it. So what is this thing? What is this object that has so stubbornly resisted a century of the most intense scrutiny you can imagine?
Well, that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? And to even begin to answer it, we're going to have to become detectives. We're going to follow the forensic trail, we'll investigate the bizarre clues, and we'll explore all the leading theories to try and piece together the story of this beautiful and completely baffling artifact. So first things first, we really need to get our heads around the fundamental paradox of this manuscript, because on one hand, it looks and feels just like a real book, but what's inside is, well, it's totally alien. Just try to picture this. You're holding a 600-year-old book. You open it, the pages are filled with this elegant, flowing handwriting and all these incredibly detailed drawings of plants and stars and what look like women in some kind of weird plumbing system, but you can't read a single word. Not one. That is the Voynich Manuscript. So when you can't read the words, where do you even start? Well, you do what any good detective would do. You treat the book itself like a crime scene. You analyze the physical evidence. So let's see what the forensics can tell us. And boom, right away we get our first solid clue. In 2009, scientists at the University of Arizona used radiocarbon dating on the vellum pages, and they got a definitive hit. Early 15th century. Just like that, with one single test, a super popular theory that the famous 13th century scholar Roger Bacon wrote it was just gone, vaporized. But then, when they analyzed the rest of the materials, they found something almost more surprising. Everything was completely normal. The calfskin parchment, the standard iron gall ink, the mineral pigments, it was all textbook stuff for the 1400s. And this makes the idea of a modern forgery almost impossible. I mean, where would you get a huge stack of unused 600-year-old calfskin? The book itself tells a story too, even without the words. The physical wear on the pages, what experts call heavy thumbing, tells us it was used a lot, like a field guide or a reference manual. And here's the kicker. There's no expensive gold leaf, which is exactly what you'd expect if someone was trying to make a fancy decorative fake to fool a rich patron. All the physical evidence says this was a practical, working document. Okay, so the physical book checks out. The materials are right, the age is right. So our next best set of clues has got to be the illustrations. And this, my friends, is where things go from mysterious to just plain weird. The book seems to be broken down into 6 clear sections. It starts out like an herbal guide, but none of the plants are real. They're all these bizarre hybrids that no one's ever been able to identify. Then you get strange pharmacy jars, weird zodiac charts, and of course, the most famous part, these super intricate diagrams of women bathing in some kind of green liquid that's flowing through this crazy network of pipes. It's just, there's nothing else like it from that time. But hidden inside all that weirdness, there are a few solid, concrete clues. Take a look at this massive fold-out page. It's called the rosettes. See those castles? And see the little V-shaped notches at the top of the walls? Those are called swallowtail merlins. And that architectural style was really only found in one place at one time, northern Italy in the early 15th century. It's like a geographical fingerprint. We might not know what it says, but we've got a pretty good idea of where it's from.
All right, we've analyzed the object, we've looked at the pictures, but now we have to face the real heart of the mystery, the elephant in the room, the text itself. Because it looks like a real language, it feels like a real language, but it seems to break every rule we know.
Now this right here is probably the single biggest argument against this whole thing being a hoax. There's this statistical rule called Zipf's law. Basically, it's a pattern in word frequency that shows up in every single known human language. You can't just mash a keyboard and get this pattern. Gibberish doesn't work this way. But the Voynich text, it follows Zipf's law almost perfectly. That strongly suggests there's a real linguistic structure under the surface. And the structure goes even deeper than that. Check out these specific words. Think about it. In a modern biology textbook, you would expect to see the word photosynthesis a lot in the chapter on plants, right? Well, it's the same thing here. A word like shitty shows up almost exclusively in the herbal section. Shitty is clustered around the drawings of the pharmacy jars. This isn't random. It's thematic. These words seem to be labels for the pictures they're next to.
And if that's not enough, the plot thickens. Handwriting experts have taken a close look and identified at least 5 distinct, different scribes who worked on this book. So this wasn't some lone genius or madman working in isolation. This was a group project, a collaborative effort by a community of people who were all apparently fluent in whatever Voynichese is. Okay, so if it's not just random gibberish, then what is it? Now we get to line up the main suspects. The big question is, are we looking at an incredibly elegant and elaborate hoax, or a deeply complex cipher that's hiding a real message?
For decades, the debate has pretty much been split down the middle. In one corner, you have Team Hoax. They say it's all meaningless, just cleverly designed to look real, maybe using a tool like a card and grease to generate fake text. But there's a huge problem with that. The card and grease was invented more than a century after our manuscript was made. In the other corner, you have Team Cipher, who argue there's a real message in there. And they've got Zipf's law, the keyword patterns, and the multiple scribes on their side. Now, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. Can't we just throw some powerful AI at this problem? Well, people have tried, and it has not gone well. We've had these high-profile claims, like one AI that said it was anagrammed Hebrew, or another that said it was a lost Proto-Romance language. Both made huge headlines, and both were quickly and thoroughly debunked by human experts, who showed the translations were just gibberish based on bad assumptions. So far, the manuscript has defeated every AI that's come at it. But there's a brand new development, a really exciting one, a new model called the Naibe cipher. Now, this isn't a solution. It hasn't translated the book. But what it does is provide a proof of concept. It shows for the first time how you could create a code that perfectly mimics all the weird statistical features of Voynichese while still hiding a real message, using only tools they had in the 15th century, like Italian playing cards and dice. It proves that a cipher this sophisticated was at least technologically possible back then. So after following the forensic trail, the linguistic clues, and the cryptographic dead ends, where does that leave us? Let's take a step back and look at the wild journey this enigmatic book has taken through history.
The known history of this book is almost as strange as its contents. I mean, it was owned by the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, who supposedly paid a fortune for it. It was passed around among alchemists and scholars before it just vanished for 200 years. Then, in 1912, it was rediscovered by the book dealer it's named after, Wilfrid Voynich. And today, it sits safely and just as mysteriously in a library at Yale University.
So, let's boil it all down. When you put all the evidence together, here's what we know for sure. Fact: it's a real 15th century book. Fact: at least 5 people worked on it. And fact: the text is not random gibberish. Now, as for the theory, the most compelling idea is that it's some kind of encyclopedia of secret knowledge, maybe about alchemy, maybe about women's health, written in a special code known only to a small, hidden community. And that leaves us right back where we started, with the ultimate question. After 600 years, the verdict is still out. The evidence really does point away from it being just a simple prank, but the code, if it is one, remains completely unbroken. It's like a message in a bottle that's been floating through 6 centuries of history, just waiting patiently for someone to finally figure out how to read what's inside. So what do you think it says?